Fading future, shattered dreams, end of times ain't what it seems.
Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, October 23rd, 2025. Happy government shutdown day number 23. Are we going to see food riots, looting go on here when the welfare checks don't go out on November 1st? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this thing sorts out. What else do we got today? Well, your president of peace, Trump, we're in a trade war. We're in a drug war. We're in a proxy war with Russia, like this close to a direct war with Russia. So your president of peace there. Oh, and they're still whacking people over there in Gaza. They're bombing the hell out of Lebanon, all through ceasefire agreements. All thanks to our president of peace. We got the government shutdown news. We'll go over this. What else do we got? Again, we're going to look at, are we going to have food riots and looting going on for the welfare state? We got that. What else do we got? Oh, we're Trump saying boots on the ground in Venezuela. Come on, man. They're saying it. They're saying it. Today, Trump said it. What else do we got? Quite a bit, actually, due to the government shutdown here. They've laid off the propaganda a little bit, but they're still cranking out quite a bit. So don't you worry about that. We got plenty of government propaganda. What are they? The FBI did a big bust today. It was announced, oh yeah, your sports ball, it's all rigged. This is like the NBA and the Mafia rigging up card games, but then it speaks to, okay, you get in debt, you can't pay it off, so you miss a shot. You do this, that, and other in another type of game. And so, but quite a bust today by the FBI. They arrested an NBA head coach, part of this whole La Cosa Nostra. Remember, the government told us for 50 years La Cosa Nostra did not exist and was a conspiracy theory under the Hoover FBI. So we'll get to that reporting today. We have geopolitical news. Yeah, Southcom is still, we have a propaganda from Southcom pointed directly at Venezuela as tensions here are now escalating. All of that to go over. The fallout from just indiscriminate extrajudicial assassinations by the Trump administration. Yeah, but they're bad guys, you see. They're bad guys. Well, arrest them and have them go to trial. You can't just whack them. Sorry, MAGA. I know you love extrajudicial assassinations by this criminal government, but have some sense and realize the precedent it sets could point the finger at you next. What do we got? We got more from the great Peter Duke at the Duke Report. He is cranking out content like no other. We'll tie it all together. They're still pushing digital ID, scientific dictatorship, technocracy out of the UK. We got Stallmer pushing it. We're going to cover that. Oh, it's to help in our day-to-day lives. You see this social credit score system, mark of the beast system. It's for our own good, you see. We do appreciate it coming out of the Fabian Socialists. We'll go over that a little bit, their agenda. It's the violent revolution versus the long march through the institutions. These two wings of socialism or communism, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same. Total government centralized control of everything. And so we'll go over that a little bit as they're pushing hard and heavy for that digital ID in the UK under the Fabian socialist here now, Keir Starmer. And what else do we got? Trump says that he won't allow. I'm glad how, don't you just love it? We're dictating internal politics for Aardvark land here now. He says he will not allow the annexation of the West Bank. Really? So you're running Aardvark land government, apparently. Might as well be. Might as well be. We have the fallout of course, Aardvark land says, yeah, FU, International Court of Justice, we don't recognize. We'll go over that. Fallout from yesterday. A bunch more Aardvark news. Ben Gvir is provocateuring as per usual, trying to stir up more. Like they don't already have enough problems. He's trying to stir it up more, of course, because they're trying to fulfill this synagogue of Satan, false prophecy of Revelation. And so Ben Gvir's a big part of that. But we have others. We have clips. These are religious fanatical maniacs, okay? As we continue to reiterate here at Weaponized News, these ultra-Zionists are trying to bring about Armageddon and the end times. It's truly disturbing, to say the least. All that, JD Vance is still over there in Aardvark land. He's acting like a good Christian. We know he's not. We know he's anything you want him to be, as any of your favorite politicians are. But in his particular case, we know that he's a transhumanist, Mr. Technocracy, masquerading as a Christian. Whatever floats your boat, dude. But you got to answer at final judgment on all of your chicanery going on here as a vice president of America. All right, let's get to this day in history. It was kind of a light day as I went through my procurement of this day in history for you. And we're going to cover, because I know I've been saying it and I got to get it off my plate, so we are going to cover it today. We're going to go through silent weapons for quiet wars, as it's a prelude to and part of scientific dictatorship technocracy. So I'm going to go over that document today. But first, let's get to this day in history. Some more noticing. On October 23rd, going back to the year 1668, aardvarks of Barbados forbid to engage in retail trade. Well, there are a bunch of bigots over there in Barbados noticing things that didn't quite seem right in 1668. Moving forward here in history, in 1760, the first aardvark prayer books are printed in North America. On this day in 1854, English newspaper The Times publishes the precise location of British positions in Crimea during the Crimean War. Why would they do such a thing? I don't know. They're going to get their troops whacked. On this day of October 23rd, 1915, an estimated 25,000 supporters in a women's suffrage march on New York's Fifth Avenue, led by Anna Howard Shaw and Carrie Chapman Catt, founder of the League of Women's Voters. That went on this day in 1915. In 1933, John Dillinger and his gang rob Central National Bank in Greencastle, Indiana. They take an estimated $75,000. That was quite a bit back in 1933. In 1941, on this day, Walt Disney's animated film Dumbo is released. And then I remember this when it happened, and I did find it rather bizarre. In 2023, on this day, a quote super fog caused near zero visibility conditions in New Orleans, causing a motorway pileup involving 158 cars, causing 7 deaths. And then on to our civil liberties history here. Let's see, we go back to, where are we at? Let's try to keep it chronological. Can we? Yeah, maybe we can. Okay. Our civil liberties history. On this day in 2006, the CIA's travel agent, New Yorker magazine, details CIA use of private charter airplanes for renditions. The Central Intelligence Agency program of extraordinary rendition in George W. Bush's war on terrorism. Extraordinary rendition involved the CIA kidnapping terrorist suspects around the world and transporting them to secret prisons in Egypt and other countries where many were tortured. The quote, travel agent in the title of the article refers to private air charter companies in the United States to conduct the flights. Exposure of the extraordinary rendition program and accompanying torture caused a national and international outrage over the abuse of human rights by the Bush administration. The practice of extraordinary renditions began in the 1990s and were used sparingly by President Bill Clinton. It was greatly expanded by George W. Bush after 9/11 as part of the war on terror, keeping us safe from the terrorists the state creates. In 1913, on this day, spying on our friends, German Chancellor Merkel protests NSA tapping her cell phone. If you're not doing anything wrong, I don't know what you're worried about, Merkel. You know what I mean? That's the line of bullshit that they feed us. The NSA documents leaked by former NSA contractor Edward Snowden revealed in an article published on this day that the NSA had tapped the cell phones of German Chancellor Angela Merkel. The revelation that the NSA had spied on one of our closest allies, one of the closest allies of the United States, seriously strained relations between the two countries. In addition, it added additional weight to the argument supported by various Snowden-related documents. The NSA spying had virtually no limits. And that program goes on to this day. On this day in 2015, FBI Director, then James Comey, blames police critics for recent rise in violent crime. I blame police critics too, old James Comey. Okay, where are we at here? Let's take a look. Let me check the Rumble and make sure we're streaming over there. Looks like we are. Shout out to Chloe, Denver, Carrie. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Rumble. Sorry, no chat integration for the Rumble today. They've been having bugs for weeks over there. I don't know what's the deal, but anyway, the show is streaming there live, just no chat integration. Okay, let's go and take a look before we get into the news. Let's take a look at the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars document. Here it is. You can just search it and find it yourself, or you can, the link to the PDF will be at Weaponized News Substack later tonight. But here is said document, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. Everybody should go take a look at this. It's a 54-page document. Let's get into it. Here's the summation and top 10 points. Again, this is tying into Technocracy. Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars is a controversial document presented as an operations research manual for implementing a system of social engineering and economic control. It claims to originate from elite groups, specifically tracking back to a 1954 meeting of the Bilderberg Group, where a quiet war was allegedly declared against the general public to maintain elite dominance in an era of advancing technology. The text was purportedly discovered in 1986 inside a surplus IBM copy machine purchased in 1979, and is framed as a programming manual for initiates into this doctrine. While often dismissed as a hoax or conspiracy theory, the document adopts a pseudo-scientific tone, drawing analogies from electronics, physics, and operations research to describe society as a controllable energy system. Its purpose is to outline methods for achieving total predictability and manipulation of populations through subtle, non-violent means, termed silent weapons, to transfer wealth and power from the masses to a small elite, ensuring social stability under their rule. The document structure mimics a technical manual, starting with a preface and forward that assert its authenticity and moral urgency for public exposure. It includes a table of contents covering topics like security, historical context, energy principles, theoretical models, economic simulations, shock testing, amplification strategies, diverse tactics, logistics, and enforcement mechanisms. Diagrams such as industrial circuits and flow models are referenced to illustrate concepts, though the text emphasizes mathematical and systemic rigor. The narrative builds from foundational ideas to applied strategies, ending with discussions on systems analysis, the draft, and family-based enforcement, before abruptly concluding with references to related works and historical quotes warning of conspiracies. Key themes revolve around viewing economics as an extension of natural energy sciences, where human society is modeled like an electrical circuit. Capital and capacitance, stored potential, goods of conduits and services, population as inductance, kinetic flow. The elite's, quote, breakthrough is applying wartime operations research originally developed for military efficiency during World War II to peacetime societal control. This includes using electronic computers invented in 1946, linear programming invented in 1947, and transistors invented in 1948 to simulate and predict economic behaviors, funded by entities like the Rockefeller Foundation through Harvard's Economic Research Project that ran from 1948 through 1952. The system aims to prevent the public from accessing technology that could equalize power, instead of using it to enforce a class divide. The historical introduction positions the, quote, quiet war as a response to post-World War II technological democratization, which threatened elite sovereignty. By 1954, the international elite allegedly adopted silent weapons to wage a covert Third World War, focusing on economic inductance, issuing unbacked currency to induce populations to surrender real assets through debt, inflation, and engineered crises. war is depicted as a balancing mechanism to destroy creditors, the public, and reset systems, with alternatives like welfare or space programs serving as, quote, flywheels to absorb excess energy from greed and overpopulation. The technical sections of the document delve into economic modeling using equations and matrices to represent industry interdependencies. For instance, industries are classified into capital, banking, government, nature, goods, production, and services, households. The, quote, E model qualifies national economic flows in dollars, enabling aggregation and prediction. Time flow relationships incorporate foresight, inventory planning, present push, immediate transactions, and hindsight, habits, inertia. Self-destructive oscillations arise from unchecked inductance, necessitating interventions like genocide or slavery to maintain equilibrium. A core technique is economic shock testing, analogous to aircraft vibration testing, where sudden changes, spiking gasoline prices, as example, reveal societal response through statistical analysis. This data informs matrices predicting outcomes like increased violence or moral collapse from combined shocks. Households are treated as predictable industries modeled to account for human variability. So we can see right now these engineered crises, economic shocks coming into play with the government shutdown and possible no issue of welfare checks as one example. Strategies emphasized in the document emphasize amplification and diversion. Economic amplifiers, advertising, surveillance, use inputs like personal data and habits to produce outputs such as controlled chaos and property seizure. A table of strategies details tactics like keeping the public ignorant, attacking family units through poor education and daycare dependency, and fostering indulgence in non-essentials. Diversion keeps minds disengaged via media overloads of sex, violence, and trivia, while consist is gauged in tax compliance, seen as a surrender indicator. Logistics break down control from societal to individual levels, starting at birth with, quote, artificial wombs. Substitute security like government dependency, replacing national structures. Politically, the document critiques the public's desire for a, quote, human god in leaders who enable theft and war without accountability. System analysis assigns values to war elements. Example, human intellect in silver units for computerized optimization. The draft is highlighted as a tool for installing omnipresence in a government, i.e. technocracy, generational stability, and collective guilt. Enforcement targets family dynamics, the father's role in conformity, mother's emotional manipulation, children's peer pressure, sisters' expectations, and the mass of compliant cattle. The text concludes with enforcement via brainwashing, underscoring the need for total control to achieve peace through subjugation. Overall, the document proposes a theory of elite-driven societal automation where silent weapons attack vitality through psychological and economic pressures, advocating benevolent slavery over outright destruction. Its references It references external works like William Cooper's Behold a Pale Horse and quotes from figures like JFK and J. Edgar Hoover to bolster its conspiracy narrative. So, wow, quite a bit there. But again, here's the actual document. Go take a look at it. 45 pages. A puzzle piece, a big puzzle piece in Technocracy here now, I would say. So we got that out of the way. Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. Go take a look at it. And whether it's a hoax, made up or not, a conspiracy theory, go take a look at it and see what they're doing. And it looks like they are using it as a blueprint for their plan here now. But what the hell? It's just a conspiracy theory. Okay, let's go to our segue and get into the news here. Democrats are solely responsible for all this unnecessary pain. Nobody I know even seems to notice or care the government shutdown, except for you got to pay your taxes. But apparently there's a large swath of the American population out there dependent on welfare benefits that may just go out on a looting and rioting spree here, all engineered by said government. Let's take a listen to White House press secretary here today.
Responsible for all of this unnecessary pain. Why are they doing it? To give taxpayer-funded healthcare benefits to illegal aliens, some of whom are violent criminals. During the 4 years of Joe Biden's administration, the Democrats forced Border Patrol to admit illegal aliens into our country with no legal status and minimal screening. A significant number of these individuals are the worst of the worst criminals, rapists, pedophiles, murderers, and even members of the terrorist watch list. Despite having no legal status, paroled aliens were able to file for work authorization, receive Social Security numbers, and access other benefits like Medicaid that are meant for Americans. Since I've found many in this room to repeatedly deny the reality that Democrats gave Medicaid benefits to illegals, and they continue to seek to do just that, I've brought a few verified examples.
Yeah. All right. Continuing here. Here's Trump. He says, I think the Democrats have gone totally crazy. I think the entire government are insane lunatics. So there's that. But we have to play the left-right game, right? Right. Okay.
I think the Democrats have gone totally crazy. And you don't know what they're going to do because they don't care about the people. They don't. I really think they have no leadership. They have a lot of very low IQ people. Jasmine Crockett is a low IQ person. A lot of them are.
My favorite line from Jasmine Crockett was when she said that Trump was Putin's hoe. You just can't make this stuff up. Hilarious.
I don't want to insult too many of them, but a lot of them are. They have no rudder. I don't think they know what they're doing right now. You know, they've never done this before. They always agreed to go and, called an extension.
This is the first time. That that they've stretched it this far. Democrats shut down the government. Here's a mashup from House Judiciary, GOP. Here's what they've been up to since they shut down the government, allegedly, according to this propaganda video from Republicans.
This secret door, let's see. Nope.
I have no agenda.
This is your shutdown, lowdown, and rundown.
All right, y'all. So we are going in the house, or maybe not.
It's like it's a summer, but it's not. It's October.
How's it going? Happy Sunday. Hey everyone, happy Sunday. I am
Awesome and Charles here. Can you see me?
This secret door.
Yeah, so that is Clown World. That is your government. Clown World. Adam Schiff. I agree with Trump here. It's one of the lowest forms of scum. Listen to how they talk. Bring back political duels. Stop talking all this shit, and take it to a pistol duel, as we used to do in this country.
Adam Schiff is one of the lowest forms of scum I've ever dealt with in politics. He's a horrible human being, very dishonest person. I have no idea what's going on. You tell me that he's going to be indicted. I don't know. You could ask Pam. I don't know if she could say it. Probably you are allowed to say it, but I wouldn't know about that. I can only tell you he's a very bad, I think he's actually a sick person. Adam Schiff is one of the lowest forms of scum.
Really? That's our president talking about a sitting U.S. senator out of California. Is he going to be indicted? I don't know. He deserves it. Adam Schiff definitely deserves to be indicted for many, many crimes here now. Look at this, man. They sound like children, because maybe it is like junior high student council. That's how this government, your federal government's acting. Take a look at this post out of the White House rapid response account. This is going back to, well, let's follow the thread so we can get the context. Chuck Schumer says, honestly, you can't make this shit up. So they just are openly cussing now from the most base politician in America, Chuck Schumer, until he's not, which can come at any time. Let's hear from Bobblehead Woman again here. And so we get the full context of Chuck Schumer's very professional post here.
Go ahead. Yes.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
In addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden
I'm going
patio,
into the back. Sorry. Go ahead.
In addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden patio, is the president looking at any other renovations or significant kind of projects here at the White House?
Not to my knowledge, no. But he's a builder at heart, clearly. And so his heart and his mind is always churning about how to improve things here on the White House grounds. But at this moment in time, of course, the ballroom is really the president's main priority. Kristen.
That's cool.
Last week, President Trump.
That's cool. They're trying to make, who cares what they're doing to the White House? Honestly, who freaking cares? But they're trying to, it's another diversion. Look over there. Get upset about the remodeling the White Houses and Trump's new ballroom. Who gives a freaking rip? Honestly. But you see, that was the context of this post now. The White House says, you're a scumbag and a liar, Chuck. But everyone knows that. She was answering a question specifically about construction projects on the White House grounds. We'll lay it so even your demented mind can comprehend. So he says you can't make this shit up, and they call him scumbag and a liar there. Very professional out of our U.S. federal government. These demented clowns are doing everything they possibly can to hurt hardworking Americans. It's sick. This is what the White House, these are direct quotes I'm reading you from the White House Rapid Response X account. Democrats block Senate bill to pay some workers during shutdown. Here is USDA Secretary. We are on day 23 of the Schumer shutdown. Base Schumer, again, until he's not.
And we are on day 23 of the Schumer shutdown. The Senate has now voted 11 times to open the government. The Republicans have, with a couple of Democrats who are the same Democrats. And yet the Schumer team continues to put funding for illegal aliens. I think there's some of their requests are funding for LGBTQI programs in the Balkans. So it is absolutely insane. But the president continues to.
Is it insane? It's the same thing they do every freaking budget. And we thought for a minute, if we could ever even know who it was, John Fetterman was based. Turns out he's not. He's a aardvark shill. and a government shill. Well, he is a senator working for the government. He was trying to be base for a minute, but it turns out he's just another big government hack bootlicker. Here is old Fetterman crying with this other joker, Dave McCormick. Isn't it wonderful that we can have a bipartisan agreement of senators crying to open the government? Here's and we don't even know, who is this guy? Remember he had that big lump on his neck? Is this even John Fetterman? Remember all the weirdness with his wife? And like it was just weirdness out of him, right? And then is this a clone, drone, robot, hologram, the real John Fetterman? Just all kind of weirdness with that tumor on his neck. He went missing. He had mental problems. His wife left the country. Remember all this? Anyway, here's your senator out of Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, with old Dave McCormick crying to open the government.
Here we are in Washington, D.C., and it is shut down. But now here, it's both Pennsylvania's voice here in the U.S. Senate, even though we are in a different party. And we both want to talk about why we believe it's so important to reopen this government.
23 days, 12 votes. Senator Fetterman and I have both voted to open up the government. We agree on that 100%. It's really starting to hurt Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvanians, air traffic controllers.
Losers. Shout out to a new person in the chat there, Karen Carpenter on the YouTube. Thank you for joining the program and jumping in the chat there. Republican Senate Leader Thune. Let's hear what he had to say. More crying about it.
Is a really challenging one for the Democrats. It's very hard to defend voting against. Ron Johnson is offering a counter proposal, Dana, that is, as was pointed out, would pay everybody who's working. So any what they call accepted employees, anybody who's currently working and not getting paid would get paid under this proposal. The Democrats are going to try and counter it with a political gimmick, which would pay federal employees once, but then continue the shutdown. They're trying to have it both ways. I mean, this is all about politics for them. If they open.
It's all about politics for all these jokers. And then Christian Zionists, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, more crying about the Democrat Whip Clark. Remember her comments yesterday? We'll play this again. It's a short clip, and to put it in context, it's garbage, man.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible, and of course there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously, but it is one of the few leveraged times we have.
And here's Johnson crying about it.
Well, I'm one that really believed that after the Hate America rally on Saturday, that's what we called it, because it was, funded by George Soros and co-sponsored by the Communist Party of the USA and many other nefarious groups. But we really thought that after that display, that Chuck Schumer would come to his senses. Remember, he's been in Congress for 44 years, and every year until now, he has said, and he even said this year, as recently as March, that shutting the government down would cause great pain to the American people, and it could never be done, should never be done. Well, he changed his tune because he's trying to appeal to that radical.
Is Mike Johnson a cheap Chinese counterfeit knockoff of Stephen Colbert? Look at this. As Denver points out in the chat, it may very well be true. I don't know how we're going to get them in by Christmas with these 100% tariffs. So we may have to deport Mike Johnson back to China and reject this counterfeit that they put in front of the American people as our Speaker of the House of Representatives. Interesting idea. These depraved Democrats are exploiting American suffering for their own political gamesmanship. They're sick, the White House says. Are we going to see food riots? Is this all engineered? It's certainly starting to look that way. Democrats under fire as food stamp funds run dry 42 million Americans caught in shutdown fight. Is there that many Americans? 42 million on food stamps? I didn't realize there was that many. But the economy's great. There is no inflation, Trump has told us. SNAP program funds expected to run out November 1st as Democrats and Republicans remain deadlocked over spending. And what the hell? We got, as we documented yesterday, we just passed the $38 trillion mark in the official national debt. So what the hell? And at the clip we're at, I think we had more reporting on national debt. While I'm on that jag quickly here, the price of gold is back up a little bit today. And so that's good, hanging tough at $4,127 an ounce. And the price of silver, sadly, has dipped below 50 at $48.85. Sorry to get off on that, but that just triggered that I did want to cover those precious metal prices for you today. Okay, back to, shutdown cliff that could hit Democrats hard. The Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, SNAP, which helps feed more than 40 million people, will start to run out of funds November 1st. Well, don't be dependent on government is the moral of this story. And why the hell are so many Americans dependent on government? We're in the golden age, we're told. Our economy is the hottest on the planet. Trump has told us repeatedly, and they beat us over the head with fake economic data, how wonderful everything is. Turns out 40 million Americans are on SNAP benefit program. Not good, man. Not freaking good. And so what is the likelihood of riots, looting going on? I did see a bunch of videos. I don't know why you would make a video about the crime you're going to commit, but a bunch of these people, I don't know if they're real hoaxes, trolling, what. There's a bunch of videos of alleged people on SNAP benefits saying they're going to go and loot their local grocery store when their benefits don't come through on the 1st of November. So I don't know. I'm sure the government would like that, because then that'll be a perfect excuse for more crackdown, martial law. And so that would be a perfect excuse. You know what I mean? So according to this Politico article, the ongoing U.S. government shutdown, now in its 4th week, the SNAP program, which supports over 42 million low-income Americans with an average of $187 per month for groceries, is not really very much when you think about it. SNAP disruptions. The U.S. Department of Agriculture warns that federal funds could dry up starting November 1st, 2025. So in like a week here now. If the shutdown persists, at least 25 states, including Democrat strongholds like California, with 4.5 million recipients, and Democrat and Republican leaning states like Louisiana, with over 800,000 on the benefits plan. So it's going to hit both, right? It's going to hit both red and blue states here now. Likelihood of looting. Predicting social unrest like looting is inherently uncertain, as it depends on factors like shutdown duration, states' responses, community support, and law enforcement readiness. Based on current data from news reports, expert analysis, and social media sentiment, low to moderate risk of overall riots. Current warning. Anti-hunger groups like Food Research and Action Center and Center on Budget and Policy Priorities note that while millions could face delays, full cutoffs are avoidable via legal workarounds. Reuters reports 11 food banks preparing for surges, but no contingencies plans for violence. States like Pennsylvania and New Jersey have issued alerts about potential non-payment, prompting stockpiling rather than threats. Yeah, prepare, man. Prepare. What else do we got about it? So the food banks, pantries are preparing. And again, I feel for the people that are genuinely in need and need the social safety net provided by the backstop of the U.S. taxpayers here now. But it just feels like over 40 million people on these welfare benefit programs is a bit excessive. And so, again, I do feel for those truly in need here, but it feels like the welfare state is being abused. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? And so if it happens, expect isolated incidences in high poverty areas, as you would expect here. So, yeah, there may be food riots and looting here November 1st. We'll see. And again, the government would love that to happen. And it looks like it's being engineered to happen by said government to the whole problem, reaction, solution. What's the problem? Oh, there's food riots. The public cries. What's the reaction of the public? They cry for law and order. And then here comes more police state. Duffy. What do we do with this character? Duffy crying about it. Head of NASA, Duffy, says we're going to beat China back to the moon in the new space race and swindle another quadrillion dollars. He left that part out, but have no doubt about it. We're also in a new space race to beat China to the moon, they tell us. to throw trillions of dollars in a black hole as Americans starve. Here's Duffy crying about the government shutdown.
One of the problems that I want to address that we're seeing now in the shutdown, you've seen that we don't have enough air traffic controllers. We're 2,000 or 3,000 air traffic controllers short, and so what I've done is I've developed a plan to supercharge air traffic.
Yeah, public service announcement: be careful out there flying. If I would not fly if at all possible that you did not have to fly. Do not fly, especially right now with all of these. The shutdown, the air traffic controllers, they're switching to a whole new system, they tell us. So a lot going on. You got Boeing aircraft, freaking wings, doors, wheels falling off their planes. So if at all possible right now, I would not fly on commercial air travel due to those reasons and others that I just laid out there for you. But it is always fun to get a free groping from the TSA, right? Right. Okay. What does Karen say? Yeah, people have been set up to be dependent on the system. I agree with you. And you should have seen it coming. You should have seen it coming. Because this is what we're going to get now. Democrat shutdown jeopardizes America's skies. Are they still doing the aerosol injections through the geoengineering programs? That's not what they're talking about here, though. From the White House, they're talking about Democrats' reckless government shutdown, now dragging into its third week, has plunged America's air traffic control system towards a tailspin, as old Duffy was just telling us. So, yeah, if you can avoid commercial air travel, I would suggest you do so right now, especially. They plan to have delays while the government shutdown goes on. Arrivals to Houston airports were under a ground stop due to the government shutdown. Let's play this short clip. What is this news report out of ZBS, I believe?
Long story short, they plan to have delays while this government shutdown continues to go on. Take a look at this picture taken by our meteorologist, Pat Kavlin, more than an hour ago. You'll see where the TSA line almost fully looped the departures area in Bush Terminal A. Then we have this video here where we came to check things out.
So if it wasn't already a nightmare to go through their BS security theater at the airport, now you got to deal with this. So be warned. Where are we at here? White House trolls Democrats over ballroom meltdown, adds cocaine, Clinton, and Obama scandals to timeline. So they're very concerned and professional about this government shutdown that can affect over 40 million Americans' food aid benefits being cut off, you see, at the White House. Commander-in-Chief, here it is. They're pumping out Trump propaganda. That's right, from the White House, Commander-in-Chief. Don't we just love Trump so much? Here is Trump on Time magazine. The Gaza deal, the fight for Taiwan, Putin's power play, Trump's world, the president of peace that started a trade war, drug war, and proxy wars all over the world and bombed 6 countries. So there you go. Trump's world on Time magazine cover. The entire East Wing of the White House has been demolished to make way for President Trump's new $300 million ballroom, which will be financed by a group of billionaires, corporations, and Trump himself. It's your corporate government right there. And, well, they still have some internet trolls there posting at the White House, even through the government shutdown. The White House major events timeline. This is right from the White House. Let's see what they're posted here. No audio on this. But they're taking us through the different rebuilding and renovations of the White House as your corporate media is trying to make this a thing that we should care about. I don't care. You know what I mean? It's Trump's house. He lives there. It's the government's, allegedly the people's property. It's a corporate government property, you see? And so why? I don't care. But I like they threw in that cocaine discovered out of the White House. It wasn't Hunter's, you know. It was Kamala's. We just don't know whose cocaine it was. It was the CIA's, most likely. Okay, back to the national debt. As we reported yesterday, the U.S. national debt, as of yesterday, surpassed $38 trillion, rising by $1 trillion with a T in just 2 months, the fastest pace outside of the medical intervention period. The debt now equals 130% of GDP, or $111,000 per citizen. And so this is not sustainable whatsoever. There you go. You can see the spike there where they shut down the freaking economy with the Operation Lockstep. So, yeah. But, yeah, we're inching back up there. And it's at the clip of $1 trillion every 2 months. And again, it's set to go exponential at some point here now if we continue with this government spending. Not sustainable whatsoever. Where are we at here in the show? We got some police state, martial law news. Government's keeping us safe. And so when are we going to see, let's take our commercial break now, and then we'll come back with Department of Homeland Security, police state news, the weaponization of government against you and I. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com. I've been working on some different designs. I got a pretty good one, but I'm just not quite happy with it 100% yet. So I'm still working on designs for some new shirts over there at Weaponized News. We got the stickers, as always, the holograph sticker, the white background sticker, and the clear sticker here, clear background. Put it on your laptop, your bumper, your guitar, your work locker, your hard hat. We have a listener saying that to mention put it on a hard hat. Hey, that works too. Put it on your hard hat at work. We have safety. We have some safety shirts for those working out in the field, in construction, or wherever else you may need to have a bright colored safety shirt. And so those are at the Weaponized News store. Here now, let me take you there. Weaponized News store. Let's just go through it quickly. Go to weaponizednews.com and go to the store right here. And again, I'm developing a few new designs. I like this one right here that we came up with a few days ago. In particularly, take a look at this. Taxation is theft t-shirt design with Uncle Sam literally robbing you, because that's what they're doing. So I do enjoy that one. And we have it in white, black, and gray and military green here. There's the black version. And what else did we have over there? We had the, oh, I wanted to show the safety gear here. And we did the baby gear, rolling out some baby gears, but the orange safety t-shirt there. And this one with the Weaponized News logo on there. This one, we had a pink, orange, and green for that one, I do believe. And there's a couple others in there. I don't want to spend too much time plugging at the Weaponized News store. We do appreciate all of the subscribers, the people that donate, and our patrons to the Weaponized News store is much appreciated. Now let's hear a word from our sponsor, Abu Dhabi Enterprises, and we'll be back with the second half of Weaponized News for you.
Running a small business feeling overwhelmed by numbers and paperwork? Abu Dhabi Enterprises has your back. Our expert business solutions include accounting, QuickBooks support, payroll, taxes, and top-notch consulting. Let us handle the details so you can focus on growing your business. Business Solutions Accounting, QuickBooks, Consulting, Payroll, Taxes. Call 559-577-9250. Call Abu Dhabi Enterprises today at 559-577-9250 for stress-free solutions.
And we're back. Welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this October 23rd, 2025 edition, Thursday here, as we're on day number 23 of the government shutdown. Will it lead to food riots and looting? We shall see as this develops. Well, under the Biden administration, FEMA was weaponized. The Trump administration is telling us we're still waiting for somebody to get in trouble for said weaponization. Mayorkas? I don't know. We shall see. We've seen some criminal referrals and indictments come down in recent weeks for old James Comey, for Brennan. Still not satisfied, though, honestly. Let's hear now about how FEMA was weaponized against the American people. Oh yeah, and the same boots on the ground are working at FEMA that complied with these tyrannical orders from the Biden administration. So keep that in mind.
I think most Americans can agree that if anything should be apolitical and nonpartisan, it should be disaster response when the American people need aid following a natural disaster. So to see the previous administration taking an organization like FEMA that's supposed to serve all Americans at all times without any political leanings and politicizing their response when hurricane strikes, when earthquakes strike, when fires rage through our country, it's really sad to see, and it just shows the institutional rot that exists within bureaucratic government at the highest levels, and it shows the danger.
It's still there. It's still there, dude.
Dangers that rot can pose to the average American citizen. And to speak to your point, it's been really shocking to see the depth of this report and the types of houses that were being skipped over. Simply having a Trump campaign sign in your yard was enough to be denied aid by the federal government under the previous administration and under FEMA. I think most Americans can agree that if anything.
Yeah, and the same clowns following these orders are still working at FEMA. The Democrat shutdown is holding disaster relief hostage from Americans in crises. And they tell us disaster relief funds hit critical low as shutdown endures. Reporter out of Bloomberg. Although FEMA's disaster relief fund does not expire, it is not infinite, and the American people could suffer if the government doesn't reopen. Democrats must open the government, or Americans could soon stop receiving funds to rebuild critical infrastructure because the money had simply run out. So should disaster relief seekers from FEMA, American citizens, should they go out and riot and loot if they don't receive their disaster relief funds? I think that's a question worth asking here now, as SNAP benefit recipients are threatening said looting and rioting. Well, let's throw the freaking disaster relief people in there too. They're in need as well. Propaganda from Homeland Security. Let's take a look. End of the dark age, beginning of the golden age, they tell us. Let's take a look at this propaganda video and how much we love the police state from your Department of Homeland Security.
We are now in the process of defeating the radical left.
These are people that want to destroy our country. We're not going to let it happen.
So even through the government shutdown, they're able to put out these propaganda pieces. This morning, FBI Milwaukee executed a major violent gang takedown called Operation Chalkline, utilizing 14 SWAT teams in Milwaukee. Federalization of police. You see, we used to be a thing we cared about. Where are the local cops in Milwaukee taking care of this stuff? So they did a big bust over there, they say, in Milwaukee. And again, hey, good, clean up the crime. But the problem is it's setting the precedent, you see. And when at some point in time the pendulum swings back the other way, your radical far left-wing Democrats that are terrorists, the Republicans tell us, are going to be back in power. And do you want them wielding this power against you, as we just saw during the J6 nationwide dragnet as one example? We're setting the precedent for federalization of local law enforcement that can easily be turned on you. So don't cheer it on just because they're going after the guys that are on the other team that you say you don't like, because it can easily be turned on you, you see. MAGA can't get it through their thick skulls, though. This is a funny one right here. The FBI, this is a post by FBI Field Office in Washington, D.C. They say the FBI is still offering a $500,000 reward for information that helps identify the person who placed pipe bombs at the offices of the Democrat National Committee and Republican National Committee on January 5th, 2021. So you can make $500,000 if you, well, just, you know, I'm sure it was the Fed. So go ahead and turn yourself in and claim the prize there, FBI. I can't believe we're still doing this. They're still doing this. Eric Adams to endorse Andrew Cuomo in New York City mayor's race. What a cuck. He was trying to be base for a minute. Old Eric Adams, turns out he's cucked to Como. Who could have seen that coming? I can confirm that California gave this individual a license, and it is something that the Department of Transportation has already looked into. He was released into our country by the previous administration, and they're talking about this report, an accident that happened over here in California with a big rig. Per multiple ICE sources, Joshan Preet Singh, the semi-truck driver suspected of killing 3 people in a DUI crash on the 10 freeway in Ontario, California yesterday, is an Indian illegal alien who was caught and released at the California border by the Biden administration in March of 2022. DHS photo of him attached via federal sources. I'm told ICE is placing a detainer request on Singh with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, where he is in custody on suspicion of DUI, causing great bodily injury and gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated. Not pretty, and a very tragic event there, wrecking his semi, allegedly drunk, and killing 3 people. We wouldn't have it any other way than having illegal aliens that can't even read or speak English on California highways. We do appreciate it. Gavin Newsom, disastrous policies. Let's take a listen from Department of Homeland Security propagandist on Fox News.
And it keeps happening. We just saw this last week out of New York. John, you might remember that there was a commercial driver's license given to an individual where his name said no name given. The fact of the matter is these sanctuary city politicians are putting public safety at risk. This individual was intoxicated while he's driving a big rig vehicle, incredibly dangerous. He entered, as you said, in March of 2022. He was released into the interior of our country.
Welcome to California, babe. And again, is someone in 3 people are dead? Is someone in the government anywhere going to be held responsible that you guys let this guy in the country illegally? Somehow he got the idea he can drunk drive a semi and kill 3 people. That's perfectly fine. So Trump was rumored and alleged to be sending National Guard into San Francisco, California. But turns out he's not going to do it right now. This is a post by Trump earlier today. He says, the federal government was preparing to, quote, surge San Francisco, California on Saturday, but friends of mine who live in the area called last night to ask me not to go forward with the surge, in that the mayor, Daniel Lurie, was making substantial progress. I spoke to Mayor Lurie last night, and he asked very nicely that I give him a chance to see if he can turn it around. I told him I think he is making a mistake because we can do it much faster and remove the criminals that the law does not permit him to remove. I told him it's an easier process if we do it faster, stronger, and safer, but let's see how you do. The people of San Francisco have come together on fighting crime, especially since we began to take charge of the very nasty subject. Great people like Jensen Huang, Mark Benoff, and others have called, saying that the future of San Francisco is great. They want to give it a shot. Therefore, we will not surge San Francisco on Saturday. Stay tuned. And then Trump has pardoned crypto bro Chang Ping, the Binance head dude, this guy. And so we do appreciate Trump pardoning him and profiteering off of crypto scams. And I did not report it, but old Melania's crypto coin that she launched, they rugged the whole thing. It's down like, I forget even all the numbers, but I saw that report yesterday. I thought I would mention it. They rugged it, and so they scammed MAGA again. Maybe someday, some way they'll wake up. I have my doubts. Well, here's a good report out of the government, maybe. FBI out of Honolulu, Hawaii, say that they've recovered 10 children and youth as part of Operation Shine the Light. And so I'd say that's good. Operation Shine the Light aims to recover endangered missing children and youth reported as, quote, runaways across Hawaii, and to deter bad actors from victimizing missing children. There you go. They got 10 kids. Something good. Okay, on to this big bust today. That NBA, you don't say sports ball's rigged in America? You don't say. Current and former NBA Basketball Association players and 4 other individuals charged in widespread sports betting and money laundering conspiracy. I was told there's no such thing as conspiracy. Well, it turns out every other freaking indictment by the federal government is charging people with conspiracy. Funny how that works. Here's the post from the FBI. Today, the FBI arrested 6 people, including current and former NBA players, for their alleged role in illegal sports betting and money laundering conspiracy. The result of a sweeping investigation conducted by outstanding FBI professionals and partners using private information and positions of power to rig sports gambling outcomes is not only illegal, but destroys the integrity of the game and will never be tolerated. That's why we legalize sports gambling in most parts of the country, right? Right. Because we care about the integrity of the game. What a joke. We will continue following the money to ensure gambling operations of all kinds stay within the law and bring to justice those who take advantage of innocent victims. Kash Patel, I don't know who Epstein is, director of the FBI. But there's more. 31 defendants, including members of the Association of and associates of organized crime families and National Basketball Association coach Chauncey Billups, charged in schemes to rig illegal poker games. So here's the press conference. NBA legend Chauncey Billups heats Terry Rozier, arrested as part of FBI gambling probe. There you go. Today, the FBI dismantled a multi-million-dollar gambling ring tied to Cosa Nostra, including current and former NBA players and coaches, as well as an inside scheme to rig sports betting outcome for profit. Cheating, corruption, and laundering have consequences. We followed the money, and the law caught up. Here's from the press conference today. The FBI has uncovered a major sports betting and poker rigging scheme involving NBA figures and the Italian Mafia.
3 of the named defendants are charged for their alleged roles in both schemes. This alleged illegal gambling operation hustled unwitting victims out of tens of millions of dollars and created a financial pipeline for La Cosa Nostra to help fund and facilitate their organized criminal activity. Victims were attracted to play alongside well-known professional athletes and coaches like Chauncey Billups, only to be unknowingly deceived through rigged shuffling machines, fixing the odds in their favor, as alleged and as you just heard from the U.S. Attorney's Office. This alleged scheme wreaked havoc across the nation, exploiting the notoriety of some and the wallets of many to fund the Italian crime families here in New York. 3 of the named defendants are charged for their alleged roles in both schemes.
They're running some schemes. And what else are they? I had some other reporting about it. Let me see here. X-ray cables, hidden cameras, pre-marked cards. Yeah, they're rigging it up really good here. La Cosa Nostra is the Mafia families. Yeah, wild stuff there. Very sophisticated rigging of their gambling games going on. We have Cash Patel. He said more. We're not gonna. He's still looking for Epstein files that are a Democrat hoax, right? Right. Okay. On to the Trump's war on drugs now. The U.S. flew 2 B-1 bombers near Venezuela following an earlier attack demonstration involving B-52s and F-35s. These missions, while staying in international airspace, signal escalating pressure on Venezuelan's president, Maduro. And when asked about this report out of the Wall Street Journal, Trump just dismisses it, as he does most things, and says it's fake news. Oh, well, it's fake news, so nothing to worry about. Well, Southcom is putting out propaganda. They're the ones going about these extrajudicial assassinations of alleged international narco drug traffickers. One of their head generals over there resigned due to it being a violation of international law. Here is propaganda right from Southcom. Dude, that's scary stuff. That's scary stuff when you got these guys pointing a finger at you, as Maduro does right now. They had a meeting over there at the White House about it. Let's hear a little bit from Trump and others about the potential invasion, regime change in Venezuela. Well, they're narco traffickers. Never mind the fact that the head narco trafficker in all the world, and contraband trafficker for that matter, is the U.S. federal government. Forget that for a minute.
Administration, we're finally treating the cartels as the core national security threat that they really are. The cartels are waging war on America, and just as I promised in the campaign, we're waging war on them like they've never seen before. All you have to do is turn on your television and you'll see what's happening to them. Past administrations have tried to mitigate this threat, and our objective is to eliminate it. We're not mitigating, we're eliminating. We're getting them out. The bad ones we're putting in prison. We hate to do that because that means we're stuck with them for 50 years or more. In recent weeks, our Homeland Security Task Force has seized more than 70 tons of deadly narcotics, along with more than 1,000 illegal guns. And that's just recently. This is already the most successful anti-cartel and anti-gang operation in American history, and it's just getting started. We have incredible people. A lot of them are in this room with us today, and it's an honor to have them. But we're going to not stop until the threat has been fully and completely eradicated.
Geez, dude, are we going to go do regime change all over South America? It's starting to really look like that. Venezuela, Ecuador, Colombia. Here's more from Trump. Trump says China is smuggling fentanyl through Venezuela to bypass U.S. and Mexican ports. And again, no word about going after any of the pharmaceutical companies in this country that started the whole opioid epidemic. I guess that case is closed. Purdue Pharma paid the fine, cost of doing business, and now you got strung out Americans dying of overdoses all over the place as we continue to cover here at Weaponized News. But what the hell? It's China through Venezuela and their fentanyl that's doing it. Never mind Purdue Pharma.
Since it mostly comes from China and has caused such carnage in the U.S., what are you going to say to convey the seriousness? And also a second question for you or Secretary Hegseth. Is there any evidence that China is now smuggling fentanyl through Venezuela to bypass U.S. and Mexican port controls?
They are doing that, yes. But they are paying right now a 20% tariff because of fentanyl. That's billions and billions of dollars that they're paying.
Since it mostly comes from China.
They're paying a 20% tariff because of fentanyl. Trump on Venezuela land operations. He says, I think we're just going to kill people. Like what gives friggin' Trump the right? Nothing, actually. This is all illegal, and he should be charged. He's not freaking executioner.
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead.
It's bullshit, man. It's bullshit. Rule of law, due process. Oh, he'll just kill you. You see the problem. The government can say you, I, or anybody are freaking drug traffickers and just kill us. Whether it's true or not. Doesn't even matter. It's the fact the precedent is being set for extrajudicial killings by the president, which Obama already did, if you remember, and we're all Lockie and his son. Now we're taking it up a notch. And so we're outraged when that happened. We're outraged now today that Trump is doing this. Tulsi Gabbard defended Trump's military strikes on Venezuelan vessels, stating that they have caused a drastic reduction in drug trafficking across the U.S. border. Director of National Intelligence, rogue woman, says the government's weaponized against you.
Well, this is happening on multiple fronts. I can speak to a couple of them. It's just recognizing the really drastic reduction of drug trafficking across our borders. For example, we've seen the trafficking of fentanyl across our borders reduce drastically. You're seeing these cartels and these narco traffickers afraid because for the first time, they're actually seeing in President Trump someone who means what he says, that he's going to stop them from putting the American people's lives at risk. In my organization, Odie and I, we have our counterterrorism teams who are working very hard, both in the United States.
You can't just extrajudicially whack people. Here's Secretary of War Hegseth. Hegseth vows that the U.S. will hunt down all narco-terrorists and eliminate them like Al-Qaeda. Problem is, we created said Al-Qaeda and said narco-terrorists through Western intelligence agencies. Oh, they leave that part out, you see.
These are designated terrorist organizations, foreign terrorist organizations. Our generation spent the better part of 2 decades hunting Al-Qaeda, hunting ISIS. Well, as the president said, this is the ISIS, this is the Al-Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere. They intimidate, they terrorize, they extort, they poison the American people. The president's right. Every boat we strike is 25,000 Americans whose lives are saved because of the drugs that were headed in our direction. So our message to these foreign terrorist organizations is we will treat you like we have treated Al-Qaeda. We will find you, we will map your networks, we will hunt you down, and we will kill you.
Dude, they're just throwing around killing people like no big deal. I'd say it's quite disturbing. to say the least here. President Trump compares the drug cartels to ISIS. Yeah, they're both created by Western intelligence.
It should now be clear to the entire world that the cartels are the ISIS of the Western Hemisphere, in addition to their monstrous violence, such as cutting off heads, burning their enemies alive, and burning innocent people alive, too, by the way. The cartels control large swaths of territory. They maintain vast arsenals of weapons and soldiers, and they use extortion, murder, kidnapping to exercise political and economic control. Thank you very much.
FBI director was there today, Kash Patel, after his big bust of the NBA and the Mafia. He says that drug seizures by the Homeland Security Task Force, they claim that they've seized enough fentanyl that if the fentanyl would have hit the streets, it was enough fentanyl to kill 200 million Americans. Who freaking knows? You know what I mean? They just make up whatever. Maybe true. I don't know. Here's Ice Barbie. What do we got here? Yeah, let's hear from Ice Barbie at this meeting, where they're saying they're just going to kill everybody. It's pretty freaking wild, actually, if you listen to what they're saying.
Since the year 2000, we have lost over 1 million Americans to drugs, to overdoses, to these cartels that have...
Big Pharma, whatever, pay a fine, move on, create the next drug epidemic here, and we'll blame some South Americans for it in China.
Proliferated that kind of a disease on our people and have gone to war with our next generation of Americans. When you signed the executive order that was protecting the American people from invasion, what you did is that you took these cartels and gangs that we've known for decades and you declared them to be what they really are, and that's terrorists. You declared war on them, and you didn't say we were just going to fight them. You said we are going to destroy them. And everybody...
President of Peace, there you go. We're in a full-on drug war, maybe a hot shooting war here now with a sovereign country, or more than one, down there in South America, as tensions are mounting. So this is what they claim they seized. Nice graphic from the White House. They say 152,119 pounds of narcotics seized. It's a lot of dope. It's a lot of dope. How much did they skim to resell? Oh, never mind. They would never do that. They say over 17,000 pounds, 17,000 pounds of meth. That's a lot of cocaine. 128,479 pounds of cocaine. That's a lot of freaking cocaine. Heroin, 1,131 pounds. The fentanyl is the killer, though, right? Because it only takes like a little freaking grain of sand or salt worth of the stuff to OD you. Fentanyl powder, they claim 5,101 pounds, and in fentanyl pills, well over 2 million. You can see there. 3,000 plus foreign terrorists and cartel members arrested, they say. But funnily enough, no government arrested. Funny how that works. Okay, where are we at? Well, we're on to the great Peter Duke at the Duke Report. Everyone go subscribe to him. He's cranking out the content. He's on a tear. And so to put the UK digital ID in a little greater historical context, here is the modern Anglo-Dutch Empire explainer, again by Peter Duke at the Duke Report. Go subscribe to his channel on Substack.
Okay, so what if I told you that the most important war in history isn't one you've read about in textbooks, we're diving into the work of Robert Ingraham, who puts forward this incredible thesis that for millennia, history has been shaped by one single conflict, a war not of nations, but of two totally opposite ideas about what it means to be human. So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we're going to look at this core war of ideas. Then we'll trace the roots of what Ingram calls the empire, all the way back to its ancient origins. From there, we'll see how Venice created the blueprint for a new kind of control, how that morphed into the modern system, and finally, what the author argues is its designated enemy.
All right, so let's get right into the heart of it. Ingram's whole argument is that history isn't just one random thing after another. Instead, he says it's an axiomatic struggle. Now that's just a fancy way of saying that conflict starts from two completely different, non-negotiable starting points about the very nature of humanity itself. You can't compromise between them. One has to win.
And this, right here, lays out the two sides of that war. On the left, you have the idea of the Commonwealth, summed up beautifully by Schiller. It sees people as fundamentally creative, noble, and capable of reason. But on the right, well, you get the view of the empire. That quote from Bertrand Russell is just chilling, isn't it? It's the idea that most people are basically just animals, and to the ruling class, their suffering is irrelevant.
So where did this, frankly, ugly view of humanity come from? According to Ingram, it's not new. He argues it's philosophical weapons. The very ideas used to justify it were forged way back in the ancient world, specifically inside the Roman Empire. And this is a key piece of evidence he presents: Roman law. You know, this might seem like dry legal stuff, but look closely at the definition. It explicitly says that natural law applies to all animals, not just humans. He argues this is no accident. It's a way to legally erase the distinction between a person and a beast, denying the one thing that makes us special, our creative reason.
So you've got this toolkit for control. Roman law, which makes oligarchy and even slavery the foundation of society. Then you have Aristotelianism, which, Ingram argues, provides the philosophical cover. It says the universe is fixed, it's already perfected, so real human creativity and fundamental change, impossible. And finally, the feudal system, which he traces right back to Roman tax collection, physically trapping most people on the land as serfs.
So Rome falls, right? But what happens to this idea of empire? Well, according to the book, it didn't die. It just moved. And it got a major upgrade in Venice. The Venetians perfected the model, shifting the basis of power away from conquering armies and towards something much more abstract and powerful: finance. And this is how they did it. Venice didn't need to roll tanks through Europe. It became the godfather of the whole banking system. By controlling the money supply, the gold and silver, it could trap kings and kingdoms in webs of debt. It was a new kind of empire, one that could rule from a distance, all without firing a single shot. And what's the end result of a system built entirely on usury and financial bubbles? Catastrophe. The author argues that the collapse of this Venetian Lombard system led directly to a new dark age with famines and chaos. And the horrifying peak of it all was the Black Death, wiping out an estimated 30% of Europe's entire population. But out of that absolute horror, something amazing happened. A counterattack was launched. The Renaissance, sparked at gatherings like the Council of Florence, wasn't just about beautiful paintings. Ingram frames it as a full frontal assault on the empire's philosophy. It championed a revolutionary new idea, a civilization of sovereign nation-states, all dedicated to the common good of their people.
Now, the empire wasn't just going to give up. Faced with this powerful new idea of the Commonwealth, the oligarchy in Venice knew it had to adapt or die. And in 1582, a political coup in Venice led to the birth of a newer, slicker, and much more dangerous form of empire. You can literally watch the evolution happen on this timeline. You see Venice rise, then the Renaissance pushes back. Then comes the critical turning point in 1582 with this Giovanni Revolution. And after that, notice how the system's headquarters moves north, first to Amsterdam, and then finally, it sets up shop in London, becoming what we now call the Anglo-Dutch Empire. The book points to one man as the chief architect of this new system, Paolo Sarpi. His genius, if you can call it that, was realizing that the best way to control people wasn't with soldiers, but by controlling how they think. He understood that if you could trap people in mental chains, philosophies like empiricism that deny universal truths, you could keep them enslaved forever. And here's the playbook Sarpi's group used. It's a four-step process.
First, the financiers don't just influence the government, they take it over. Then, they set up a public bank that's actually privately controlled. That bank gets a government-backed monopoly on creating money. And finally, they move the whole operation to a new, safer location. Sound familiar? This is the birth of the modern central banking system. So this brings us to the final chapter of this story. Because that Commonwealth idea, the one that sparked the Renaissance, it didn't just vanish. According to Ingram, it found a home. It crossed the Atlantic and became the founding principle of the United States of America, a nation designed from the ground up to be the enemy of empire. And this comparison from James Fenimore Cooper just nails the difference. It all comes down to one question. Where does power come from? In the European imperial system, power is at the top. The people, the subjects, have to fight and claw for every little right they get. But in the American system, it's flipped upside down. The people are sovereign. They have the rights, and they loan a little bit of that power to the state for their own protection. They are fundamentally different worlds. As the economist Henry C. Carey put it back in the 19th century, these two systems are in a permanent state of war. They have completely opposite goals. One system's endgame is, essentially, barbarism and control. The other's is civilization and progress. There's no middle ground. And this is really the electrifying conclusion of the entire book. It argues that the United States isn't just another country. Its very existence is a challenge to this ancient imperial system. Its historical mission, whether it always knows it or not, is to be the force that finally, once and for all, gets rid of this idea of empire. So that leaves us with a pretty heavy question to think about. If this centuries-long war of ideas is still the main event, if it's still playing out, what does that fight between the principle of empire and the principle of commonwealth actually look like in our modern interconnected world?
And again, that's Peter Duke at the Duke Report. Go give him a follow on the Substack. Keir Starmer rolling out digital ID there. Says it will make our lives easier in the UK. Is it really going to make our lives easier? I think we have video from Starmer. Here he is, pushing his digital ID. They weren't able to get the miracle passport during the medical intervention period. Now they're circling back around, as a good Raggedy Ann would do. And they're still pushing this digital ID system. Digital ID has potential to transform our day-to-day lives. I agree with Keir Starmer there, but not in the ways that he's saying. It's a total control system that if you step out of line, they just shut you off for whatever reason it may be.
So I'm in Brighton today. This is Barclays Bank, and I've been talking to customers about digital ID, and they're really enthusiastic. It'll have your basic information on it. For everything other than proving you've got a right to work, it won't be mandatory. You don't have to have it, but you can have it. You can use it for anything that requires identification, and there are lots of things. If you want to rent, for example, if you want to apply for a mortgage, if you want to get your child into primary school, there's a catchment area, and you've got to show where you live, proving who you are, what your date of birth is, will just be able to be done with digital ID. They're really up for it. I think once you understand just how much easier it'll make life, so many more people will be too. So I'm in Brighton today. This is Barclays Bank.
Jeez. Digital ID will be a huge help in tackling the illegal immigration, this Keir Starmer, but it's so much more than that. It will empower people every single day by giving you a new way to prove who you are, saving time and money when you apply for a mortgage by cutting down unnecessary paperwork, providing you right to rent in one click, personalized public services like helping parents claim eligibility for free childcare and nursery places. It is time to put power back in people's hands and bring the UK into the modern age. It's a total slavery system, mark of the beast system. They're for Big Brother out of the UK, pushed by Fabian socialist Keir Starmer. And again, the Fabians are taking the long view, the slow march through the institutions, rather than the radical revolutionary socialist communists who will just go overthrow the government, i.e. the Bolshevik Revolution and many others. The more soft approach we're seeing now implemented by Keir Starmer there in the UK. Digital ID program for your own benefit, of course. King Charles prays with Pope Leo. The first time a supreme governor of the Church of England has prayed with the head of the Catholic Church since before the Reformation. Kind of a big deal here in the churches. And here's author of The Great Reset, King Charles of the UK. So there they all are, praying. Be careful they don't burst into flames there. China suspends purchases of seaborne Russian oil after the U.S. imposes sanctions on Russian oil companies, as reported yesterday. The White House has confirmed President Trump will meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping next Thursday on the sidelines of APEC summit in South Korea. Trying to sort out this trade war that we're in. So Trump starts the trade war, and then he'll end the trade war and then claim victory and say he's the president of peace. We wouldn't have it any other way. Problem, reaction, solution. China's state oil giant PetroChina, and they name a bunch of other these, they're not going to go ahead and do these oil tradings with Russia. India is also preparing to sharply cut Russian oil imports before a U.S. Treasury deadline, with Reliance Industries and state refiners reviewing contracts to avoid sanctioned entities. So that is the effect of U.S. sanctions, a public pullback of Russian oil purchases by China and India. Kind of a big thing. What is Putin's reply? Of course, Putin, the most evil man in the world.
Отменили приобретение наших унитазов. Это им дорого обойдется.
Sorry about that. I thought we had English subtitles on that. It's damn Russian speaking in Russian. He says it was translated here what he was just saying in regard to the sanctions issued yesterday by the U.S. Treasury Department. He says new sanctions will not significantly affect our economic well-being. The United States is trying to pressure Russia with new sanctions, but no self-respecting country does anything under pressure. That's a good point there, Putin. So he's a gangster. He will not be strong-armed by U.S. gangster government. Putin's response to U.S. issuing Ukraine Tomahawk missiles, which Trump said he has not given the go-ahead yesterday, upon the Wall Street Journal report saying he had given the go-ahead to go ahead and use Tomahawk and other long-range attack systems against Russia. Putin's response to all of this, reporting from yesterday, is he says Russia's response in the event of Tomahawk strikes on its territory will be serious, if not downright staggering. Will they roll out the Oreshnik hypersonic missile, some other weapon system we don't even know about? China and Russia spies are reportedly using, quote, sex warfare, seduction, relationships, even marriage to extract secrets from Silicon Valley professionals. Report out of the UK Times. Intelligence experts say attractive women posing as investors, analysts, or crypto experts are targeting tech workers to access sensitive information. They would never do such a thing. I'm outraged at the accusations. Here now. China and Russia are sending attractive women to seduce tech workers, even marrying and having children with their targets. It's the Wild West out there, says an insider. Yeah. Almost like all these intelligence agencies around the world run honeypot sex trafficking blackmail operations. But that's just a Democrat Epstein hoax, we're told. Seems like that's not normal operating procedure. Okay, follow-up from yesterday's reporting on the ICJ ruling against Aardvark Land. Aardvark Land defies the ICJ ruling, vowing to bar UNRWA from Gaza. A senior Aardvark official declared today that UNRWA will no longer set foot in Gaza, openly defying a ruling by the International Court of Justice that ordered Tel Aviv to facilitate UN relief efforts for Palestinians trapped under the siege. Official estimates show that Aardvark land genocide has cost anywhere between $59 and $67 billion since, of course, the worst attack in history, October 7th, 2023. Roughly a third, or $20 billion, went to reserve soldiers' pay and benefits, with over 360,000 reservists mobilized. The genocide has widened Aardvark Land's budget deficit to 6 to 7% of GDP and slowed growth to 1 to 2%, while sparking a major funding clash. The Defense Ministry seeks a $31 to $35 billion budget for fiscal year 25-26 to cover munitions and Gaza operations. The Finance Ministry, led by Smotrich, is seeking to cap the budget at $29 billion to prevent credit downgrades and plans to cut social services. The United States has provided $16.3 billion in extra aid, offsetting parts of the cost of the long-term economic losses that could reach over $400 billion over the next decade, according to the Bank of Aardvark Land. And that's a report out of Calculus. Like a smart take on calculus, but Calculist. Report out of Aardvark Post. Aardvark Land and U.S. officials confirm that the Turkish army will be excluded from planned international stabilization force in Gaza following Aardvark Land's veto and U.S. acceptance of its position. Erdogan and Turkey, no action for you there in Gaza. Yeah, there's a ceasefire, right, in Lebanon. Well, turns out they're still whacking people today. Well, let's watch this report out of the cradle. They're bombing the hell out of southern Lebanon. Shocking, I know.
Israel's recent attacks on southern Lebanon and the Be'ah Valley in Lebanon's east are intensifying, with airstrikes and artillery fire hitting multiple towns and villages. This came after days of drone surveillance and a drone strike which resulted in the killing of one person from the southern village of Ain Ana. Israel is also attacking infrastructure and civilian areas, sparking widespread concern over the potential for a broader war as communities brace for further escalation. Humanitarian agencies warn that the attacks are putting thousands at risk, including children and the elderly. As tensions rise, the people of Lebanon face an uncertain and increasingly dangerous reality, one which is designed not only to strip them of their right to armed resistance, but of widening occupation along Lebanon's southern border.
Part of the greater Aardvark land project there, going according to plan. Let's hear from the UN now. This is UN FPA Deputy Executive Director Andrew Saberton. He says the sheer extent of the devastation looked like the set of a dystopian film. Unfortunately, it's not fiction.
In Gaza, I was not fully prepared for what I saw. One can't be. The sheer extent of the devastation looked like the set of a dystopian film. Unfortunately, it is not fiction. There's no other way to put it. Gaza has been flattened, mile upon mile of rubble and dust, with few buildings left intact. This is not collateral damage, and I cannot unsee what I have seen. Our own staff, who are the providers of care for the community, are themselves the recipient of aid. Every single UNFPA staff member in the Gaza office has experienced the death or multiple deaths of family and relatives, and almost all have had their or their family's home destroyed or damaged. And yet they turned up. They turned up every day for the 2 years. They had no escape, no time off. Many women in Gaza have lost everything: their family members, their homes, their colleges, and their jobs. Women cannot even access the most basic personal hygiene supplies when they are menstruating. With so little housing, people are taking shelter anywhere they can. In destroyed buildings, in ragtag tents by the side of the road. Across Gaza, as you well know, 1 in 4 people is starving. That includes 11,500 pregnant women, for whom starvation is particularly catastrophic for both mother and the newborn. Premature and low birth weight babies now make up around 70% of newborns, and 1 in 3 pregnancies is regarded as high risk. We have all seen the alarming statistics. 94% of hospitals in Gaza are damaged or destroyed. Maternal deaths are on the rise because the drugs that could save mothers are no longer available, and multiple newborns are often crammed into one incubator due to a lack of fuel and equipment. The ceasefire has brought us a glimmer of hope, but as you know, just days later, renewed attacks plunged families back into terror. And we desperately need to see a permanent ceasefire now, because only once the bombings and the firing stop can we start on the very long road to recovery.
There's no ceasefire. UNRWA says 61 million tons of debris blanket Gaza after 2 years of the genocide. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, said today that more than 61 million tons of debris now cover Gaza after Aardvark continued bombardment. Entire neighborhoods have been erased. The families search the ruins for water, for shelter. The agency wrote on X, adding that it continues its humanitarian operations despite the ongoing Aardvark land blockade and restrictions on aid delivery. How many times have they violated the ceasefire? We reported 2-3 days ago, like over 80 times, probably past 100 now. What the hell do you do with 61 million tons of debris? Little Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, has arrived over in aardvark land. The World Health Organization has chimed in on rebuilding Gaza's health system. It may cost at least $7 billion. Why even have a healthcare system? Hamas just lives underneath the hospital. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Probably costs a hell of a lot more than $7 billion. They blew up every friggin' hospital because of Hamas. Lives under there, right? Right. Okay. President Trump admits that the U.S. was involved in coordinating the aardvark land pager attack in Lebanon. Huh. Isn't this an interesting development? You've been in office for less than a year, Mr. President, in the second term, and the region has already been transformed. Hezbollah's leadership has been decimated. Bashar al-Assad has been replaced by a government seeking, normalization. Former Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And you know, all those attacks were done in the auspices with me directly, you know, with aardvark land doing the attacks with the pagers and all that stuff. So they had, look, aardvark land's been very respectful of this country, and they let me know everything. And sometimes I'd say no, and they'd be respectful of that. But Obama treated aardvark land so badly. Glad Trump signed off on those pager attacks, essentially admitting to war crimes. It's good of him. Sarah Netanyahu urges the Likud ministers to press President Herzog to drop charges against her husband. Well, he did a good job in genocide, so I mean, you should drop the local corruption charges. Trump also requested, as we reported here, for a pardon for corruption charges levied against Bibi by the aardvark state. Well, killed a lot of people, you know what I mean? So we'll let that pesky bribery, corruption, money laundering that you're doing here in aardvark land, we'll let that slide, right? That's what they're essentially saying, because you did a good job on the genocide. And again, the not-based John Fetterman here, how do we even allow this in this country is still a question out there.
Through it. And I'm always going to vote whatever supports Israel, you know, military, financial, intelligence, whatever that is.
Just whatever. It don't matter. Fetterman supports aardvark land. Ben-Gvir. Aardvark Land National Security Minister Ben-Gvir boasts about the inhumane treatment of Palestinian detainees on camera, saying the only thing they need now is the death penalty. As he's, again, at the jails over there trying to provocateur, some type of riot, some type of response. This guy is the consummate provocateur.
כלל כאן שדופקים לכל הנוח'בות על הרצפה. כולם על הרצפה. מינימום של מינימום תנאים, תגיד, אתה תצלמי, מינימום של מינימום תנאים. אין מרמלדות, אין שוקולדות, אין טלוויזיה, אין רדיו, אין כל מה שהיה כאן לקחנו, אבל חייבים עוד משהו אחד. עונש מוות למחבלים.
Sick freak Ben-Gvir harassing prisoners there and constantly trying to provoke some type of Muslim response to his desecration of their holy ground, the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Here he is claiming he owns all of their land.
אנחנו בעלי הבית. אנחנו בעלי הבית כאן. תזכרו את זה. תזכרו את זה, אני בעל הבית שלכם כאן.
There's Ben Gavir in a Palestinian village saying every home here belongs to us, you see. And the religious fanatics have not forgotten about end times and fulfilling their satanic prophecy. Here you go. Here's White House reporter today asking about the third temple.
Carolyn, I've got two quick questions.
And then we'll go to you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Two quick questions. Back to the ballroom. It is a very spectacular ballroom, according to the renderings. And if it's half as nice as the one at Mar-a-Lago, then future presidents are really going to appreciate it.
They will. Thank you, Jake.
First of all, is there like an official name? Like, are we calling it the Trump Ballroom, or does the president have a vision for what the name for the ballroom is going to be?
There will be an official name. I will let the president announce that once he firmly decides on it.
Question is, so, looking at these renderings, and it kind of got me thinking, he's likely going to go down as the greatest builder of this era, and you've been in on a lot of those meetings with him. Has, to your knowledge, has the subject of rebuilding the Holy Temple in Jerusalem come up?
It has not. No, it has not. I don't. I'm sorry, Jake. Go ahead.
What the hell? No, that is the agenda. Okay. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene doing some exposing here. She's a big antiseptic now, apparently. Here she is with Tucker.
The whole propaganda machine that has been spoon-fed to Christians, whether it's in the pews at church or Bible study, or coming through the television or through their politicians' mouths, that we have to do everything for Israel. That's the only way we're going to go to heaven. America will be cursed if we don't. That whole lie is breaking apart. And thank God it is, because I, as a Christian, you as a Christian, we know there's only one way, and it's through Jesus Christ. He is our Savior. He died on a cross for us. He rose from the dead in 3 days. He is the one and only living Son of God, and he is seated at the right hand of the Father. And he's going to come again one day to judge the living and the dead. And that is the way you go to heaven. And that is the truth. And that is the light. And that is the only way that we should think and believe. And it doesn't come to bowing down to Israel, the government of Israel, or the military of Israel, or any politician. And the shaming that we have received, and the shaming that carries on, is actually what is destroying them, completely destroying them. It's destroying not only them, it's destroying the social media influencers that are taking money, that it is destroying everyone that gets sucked into this great deception. And that's what it is, Tucker. It is a great deception, but thank God people are waking up to it.
Yeah, I know the Israel's foreign ministry has paid a lot of people to slander me as a bigot.
Well, he is. More from MTG and Tucker.
We're at a pivot point where the people who cheered on the wars in, name the countries, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, against the Houthis, whoever they are, those people are poised to seem to be to take over the Republican Party. I thought the whole point of Trump's ascendance was to change the party to make it consistent with what Republican voters, and not just Republican voters, lots of Democrats switched over to vote for Trump because they wanted those 5 pillars. And all of a sudden, the people who've for generations wrecked this country seem on the verge of stealing the MAGA copyright, slapping it on their own polo shirts, and running the Republican Party. How is this happening?
I have no idea, but it's what they always do. It's what they did in his first term, and now we're watching it unfold again, and it is disgusting.
Don't be fooled. This is all by design. Okay, where are we at? We're almost at the end here. What do we got? There's J.D. Vance, Mr. Technocracy, Vice President over there in Aardvark land. We wouldn't have it any other way, you see. Oh, yes. It's hilarious. It's wonderful. The Genocide and the Greater Aardvark Land Project. And here, maybe he is a good Christian. Who am I to judge? I have my doubts. I think he's a transhumanist technocrat, but he claims he's a human or a Christian. J.D. Vance at the Church of Holy Spectator in Jerusalem. I wonder if any little kids came up and spit on him. You know what I'm saying? No, that wouldn't happen to him. Aardvark land officials tell Vice President Vance that Hamas can return at least 10 of the 13 dead captives. Aardvark land war officials reportedly informed J.D. Vance during a meeting today that Hamas is capable of returning the bodies of at least 10 of the 13 captives in Gaza. As we continue this back and forth of return the bodies, and they say, well, we can't, they're into the rubble, we don't have equipment to move the rubble, and they say, well, you're lying. And so both sides, Spider-Man meme, point the finger, you're both lying, and so we got to keep whacking people, essentially, is what it amounts to here now. Quite horrific. The Aardvark Parliament voted yesterday to annex parts of the West Bank. Trump says it's this isn't new. This is a flashback from all the way back, like almost a month ago, September 25th. Trump says he will not allow the annexation of the West Bank there.
Promised leaders this week that he would not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. Is that something that you?
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu about this?
The parliament or their Knesset yesterday voted to go ahead and annex part of the West Bank. Aardvark Lands Channel 12, quoting a U.S. official, reports that President Trump will take action against Bibi if he undermines the president's plan for Gaza. Really? I have my doubts. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. And then final report here. Aardvark Land says Hamas must lay down its arms. We will not compromise on that. It's at the core of Trump's plan. Well, it was designed to fail from the beginning.
Hamas must uphold the agreement. We know it can easily return most of the remaining 13 dead hostages. It is slowly trickling their return in order to delay the second phase of laying down its arms. Hamas is barbarically abusing the families who have waited 2 long years and simply want to lay their sons on to rest. We demand the immediate return of all the bodies that Hamas is holding. Hamas and Islamic Jihad must lay down their arms. Gaza must be demilitarized. It must no longer be allowed to pose a threat to Israel and its citizens. This is at the heart of the Trump plan. We will not compromise on it.
Hamas is not disarming, so there you go. And with that, hey, let's pray for peace. It still doesn't look good at all, despite all the propaganda. And with that, we're going to wrap up this Thursday edition of Weaponized News. Let's go to the channels quickly. Let's go to Odysee, see what the chat is saying over there, if anything. Oh, a lively chat there. Gurr, John, Fat Bob. Silent Wars has the authentic contempt for common people like Charles Galton Darwin's The Last 1,000 Years. God hate the parasite class. God, I hate that's a John, but yeah, it does fall right in line with their agenda. You know what I mean? Malthusian depopulation agenda for sure. For sure. There. Let's see. Build back Moon Mo Beta. They say the most action I've had in years is the TSA groping line there. Why do people vote for Trump who did his best to murder most of them? Back to the medical intervention. Yeah, well, just look the other way. I can't here, but yeah. Well, thank you for the comment on that shirt. Final comment there by John, and we'll move on. A pager attack was textbook terrorism indeed. Maybe the aardvarks want to kill us all before they build their imaginary third temple. One of their historians admits that the first one never existed, much less a second. They've made up so much BS that, yeah, maybe we need to take a look at all of it again here now. It's just so freaking tiring, man, honestly. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the Odysee, keeping that chat lively. Bitchute as well. Thank you for tuning in on the Bitchute. The YouTube channel was a lively chat as well. Thank you for chatting it up on the YouTube, the Kick, Twitch, Facebook, and X. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this Thursday edition of Weaponized News as we prepare for possible looting, rioting by SNAP beneficiaries not receiving their benefits on November 1st. It's looking more and more like we're going to see a ground invasion of Venezuela and potentially other South American countries. Looks like, at least for now, no long-range U.S.-made weapons attacking Russia. And there is no ceasefire in Gaza or Lebanon. They're still whacking people there. So we have a trade war, war on drugs, and potential regime change in South America there for your president of peace in Trump's world. And with that, as always, everybody do your own research. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak on, take action. Have a great rest of your Thursday evening, and we'll see you back here on